walk away, yeah, before you get hurt too bad. Look away, yeah, watching her's far too sad. And time doesn't heal nobody. The hourglass can't set you free. Love shouldn't hurt nobody, but somebody's hurt like me. Stay away, yeah. Don't you get close to me. Fade away, yeah. Living in a memory, and I wouldn't hurt nobody. Baby, won't you listen to me? Love is for somebody. Time is gonna lead her to me. I won't confuse her now. I won't try no more. Not to amuse your soul. No goodbye no more.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Shawn Will Be Here podcast. I am Shawn Will, and today I will be here with...
Author Paul Lang.
Hey, author Paul Lang.
Yep.
Happy to have you here, and happy
to be here.
You will be here with us for today. Audience, it's been a rough one. You might have noticed that I have not uploaded in a little while. Part of that, admittedly, was just taking a break for the holidays. But the other part of it is that this episode was supposed to come out in November.
Yes.
Yeah.
I may have cursed the previous recording.
Yes. And damn you, Paul, for doing so. I have had technical difficulties since.
Yeah, the curse follows me around. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah. But today, we're here to confront your curse and hopefully break it.
Maybe create something that's palatable.
Exactly. So, we're here doing a redo of the episode that we did in November. I don't know how much we'll retread. We'll try and have the same conversation organically, but, it's a redo. What do you expect?
We were pretty all over the place last time, so...
Oddly enough, I think I've mentioned it to you, but the reason why that I could not upload the last episode fully is because YouTube and its dumbass AI claim system decided that in the middle of us having a conversation about how, gender is, everyone can have their own gender expression and no one should care and whatever, YouTube decides, is that Eric Clapton songs I hear?
Coincidence? I think not. Government conspiracy?
Yeah.
Maybe. Eric Clapton conspiracy? Maybe.
Somebody at the NSA is like, do I hear gender affirming care is okay? Oh, ban it.
Do we want to bomb them? No. Just cancel the stream.
But hopefully we'll have a conversation that's not so censorable today.
Trans rights are human rights. Anyway.
They are, though. And An orange man is a fascist.
Yeah, Orange Man, very fascist.
Yeah.
Fuck ICE.
Yes. God, we had that whole conversation. I wish we could replay a bit of the conversation we had.
Yeah.
From November. I might try to slip in a little bit because, I'm not joking with you. We had a whole conversation about how ICE was going to end up shooting somebody.
Yeah, and then it happened.
It happened.
Clearly happened.
And I'm not saying that to be I'm proud we predicted it, or it's
yeah.
No,
it was obvious.
It's obvious that it's people are like, oh, we're living in unprecedented times. Who really knows what's going to happen next? And it's it's not for the common man. It's not really. It's pretty predictable what's going to happen next. It's like we're watching Stranger Things season 5.
Pretty much.
We know how this is going to end because the writers aren't good at their jobs.
Yeah, every time my wife gets upset about some new news article, as a fantasy writer, I just go, "We're living in the evil empire. Move on,"
Yeah. Yep. But that being said, fantasy and writing is such a great escape from the modern life. Right? I myself, I've mentioned it once or twice before, but I'm getting more open about talking about it.
Right.
Glitch Hunters, my animated pilot and everything that I'm working on, writing and everything. And you yourself is the author of The Kingdom's Disdain.
The Kingdom's Disdain, yep.
Yes. For anyone who has not read The Kingdom's Disdain, I've only read a little bit, small amount, that I forgot about after promptly smoking after reading. But for anyone who has not read your titles yet, what is The Kingdom's Disdain?
So The Kingdom's Disdain is my series of fantasy ebooks. Currently ebooks, physical books soon. But
Woo!
Currently ebooks. They're written to be easily digestible, small chunks.
Yes.
The setting is generally it's kind of your standard. It starts out as kind of your standard high fantasy D&D sort of thing, but it's a little bit more character focused, and also there's a lot of horror elements thrown in.
Yes.
So the first, the main series takes place on the continent of Laskmir, which is just populated by all kinds of horrific flesh-eating creatures, diseases. Almost, if you've ever read the manga Hell's Paradise.
Gotcha.
Kind of...
So Australia.
Like Australia, yeah, exactly. But yeah, the people there are generally just trying to survive, just trying to make it. But, there's all kinds of politics going on, both in the court and in between gods and demons and things like that. And smack dab in the middle of this, we have one nameless guy wakes up naked in the cave of a giant spider, has to survive, needs something to do, needs something, existentially to hold on to, so he ends up trying to basically save the world. And that's what the story is.
Sounds like something that I want in my hands as a video game.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be fun. I definitely took some inspiration from some games. A lot of Monster Hunter in there.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like that is something that all writers do. Essentially, is they find stories and tropes that they like and that inspire them and make it their own and inform what they do. Because it's that's the thing as writers, right?
Yeah.
How do you come up with something new, right?
Well, exactly. And this is almost a reversal of that, because my process as a writer, in college, I was a little bit more avant-garde, is what I would say.
Oh, yeah.
And so my goal was to, I'm going to write outside of any genre, and everything is going to be surreal dreams.
I'm going to write a first-person perspective dream narrative.
Yeah. No, I was big on second person, actually. You do this, you do that.
Yeah.
Which is very invasive, but...
Yeah, it's hey, you, reader, this is you. This is your story.
So, in 2019, right after moving to Ohio, I was watching some isekai anime, and I was sitting there and I was like...
Who doesn't love other worlds?
Yeah. I was like, I can do this. So,
right.
I sat down and started drafting out Web of Bones, the first book in the Kingdom's Disdain. And, god damn it, I realized it was really fun. So,
oh no, it's fun. Oh shit. Oh,
yeah, I was like, wait. You mean I don't have to try to do the most original, most important thing ever? I can just have fun writing. And
Yeah.
the originality and the uniqueness of a story, I think, comes automatically when you're authentic,
Right.
when you have things to say. They don't come from trying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a lot of people nowadays who, like, for example, have superhero fatigue in the media.
Right.
And they'll see, like, a story that has superheroes in it inherently, and they'll be like, oh, I'm tired of, like, Marvel and DC and all that. But then you have great stories, like, for example, the game Dispatch came out.
Right, yeah.
And that was a huge success just because the writing and the characters were so good.
Mm-hmm.
And it really goes to show it's that genre, whether it be fantasy, whether it be a superhero genre, whether it be, like, cyberpunk, whether it be post-apocalyptic, it doesn't matter what your setting is. It's really your authenticity and your characters and your passion for the story itself that really shines through.
Right, exactly. And I think that a lot of the time, the ones that don't hit well, it's because genre is all they have. Like, really, the pieces that you get from writing in a genre, I think that what's important is to engage with them, to be conscious of them, and to make conscious choices. Like, if you're going to write a superhero, you don't just do it because, man, I saw a superhero movie and I like superheroes. You think about what that means. You think about the impacts that would have on his society, on his life. You make it your own. Basically, make everything your own, I think is the statement I'm trying to make.
Exactly. You can kind of tell when some stories are just a power fantasy that director or that writer had that day.
And I honestly, if I'm being real, I watch a lot of isekai anime, fine, but a lot of it's garbage.
Oh yeah,
I still ingest it.
Yeah.
But I hate power fantasies. If anything, I'm doing the opposite of that. I put my characters in the worst situations. I have them experience terrible traumas. Far from being a power fantasy, I like to, or even escapism, I like to approach fantasy from the perspective of, how can I make something that's worse than our world?
Which is a challenge, right?
Yeah. Like, if I give them a solution, like a magical solution to a problem we have, I make sure to balance it out by giving them new problems that we, couldn't even, imagine. Like, here's a flower that grows all over the country. If you inhale it, your limbs stop working forever, Like...
Rough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I believe we talked about last time in the episode that, the lost episode now.
Yeah.
But,
lost media.
I think we talked about, like, how do you make a villain bad? Like, how do you make a hateable villain in a way that, like, for example, Booker, the villain for Glitch Hunters that I'm writing, he is 100% based off of Vince McMahon, which is, allegedly, I don't want to get sued, he's accused of sex trafficking.
Right.
There's a lawsuit about it that you can Google and read, the Janelle Grant lawsuit, right? And Vince McMahon played a bad guy on TV for years, but also he was a bad person in real life.
That's why he was good at it, yeah.
Exactly. So I take that concept of a guy who plays the bad guy on TV, but is also worse than that in real life.
Yeah.
Right? And I put that on my character, and I have him do stuff like heinous things, right? And I constantly get the reaction of, like, no matter how heinous I make him, no matter how diabolical, like, no matter who he kills, no matter what crimes against humanity, I always get one or two people who are like, he's still hot, though. I still forgive him. And this, that, and
well, that's important. I mean,
yeah.
to borrow some, Christian terminology, Satan, masquerades as an angel of light. He's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
You can't really have horror without beauty.
It's just hard to make a villain that people hate for the right reasons. You know what I mean? Because it's so easy to, like, watch people who will take characters that are so problematic in media and then absolutely baby girl them to death. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, but that's fun though. Sometimes, you know. I mean, you got your Jason Voorheeses, you got your Freddy Kruegers.
Listen, see that I can't understand. I can understand Jason Voorhees for a little bit because there's that whole idea that like, oh, he died as a child. His mom was horribly abusive to him. There's that little bit of a victim complex I can understand people sympathizing him with, even though he is, in fact, a fucking serial killer.
And depending on which movie you're watching, he might be like a demon worm thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like, if people are like, oh, Freddy Krueger's my baby girl, he does nothing wrong. I'm like, do you forget the part where he's a pedophile? That's like going, Jeffrey Epstein's my baby girl. He does nothing wrong. He's so sweet. I stan Jeffrey.
See, the concept you're talking about is one that I, unfortunately, I absolutely do participate in. Yeah. Not specifically the ones you said, but I love villains.
It's one of those things that, as a writer myself, I wish I understood because I feel like it would help me write better. But I don't get why there are certain people who are, obsessed with real crime and, serial killers, for example.
There was a time when I wanted to be interested in that stuff because I wanted to write realistic villains based on real life.
Right.
I'm not, you know?
Right.
The true crime, it just doesn't really do anything for me.
Especially now that half of it's AI generated.
Yeah, it's true.
It's hard to, mess with for me. But even then, I grew up with a house that was mostly women,
mm-hmm.
and women love true crime for a lot of obvious reasons, as in, they get a heads up on how fucked the world actually is because no one actually tells them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's I think it was Penelope Scott who said in one of her songs, they watch it so they know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I feel like in a way horror works for some people because it resonates.
Right.
For me, I was a really scared kid.
Yeah.
I still am a person who has a lot of nightmares, things like that. So when I'm watching a horror movie, a lot of it is comfortable because it's just oh, this is a world I'm familiar with. I feel affirmed, you know?
And maybe there's something to the idea of, knowing where the evil in the world is. There's a little bit of comfort of knowing it's, instead of just being oh, is this gonna happen? Or is this, no, this could happen. Well, and, that is shitty and whatever, but it's the world, and, at least I'm aware now.
Yeah, well, to name it and laugh at it is to have power over it.
Right. But it's when it comes to, writing things based off of reality, it's how far do you go? For example, one of the things that I struggled with that, this is not going to be in the pilot of Glitch Hunters at all. This is spoilers for long-term planning for Glitch Hunters, but one of the things I was thinking of is that as a person myself who has trauma from SA abuse, do I write characters who have been abusers?
Right.
You know what I mean? Do I make villains who have been abusers?
That's an extremely personal choice.
Exactly.
I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that.
Right. And for some people, they might say, no, you don't touch that territory because it's triggering to people, or you don't touch that because it's I don't want to see that. If I'm watching something, I'm trying to escape the real world or whatever. You don't bring that into the real thing or whatever. But there's a fact of the matter is that is a real thing that does happen in the world. And there are many of people who feel that, if they were to write their life story, if they left that out,
they would be silenced.
They would be silenced.
And not only that, but I've seen a lot of discourse about this stuff online.
Right.
In refusing to depict the three-dimensional nature of abuse, abusers also being human and stuff like that.
Exactly.
There's a sanitizing. There's a fact that trying to paint it as black and white denies a lot of people their experiences, because 9 times out of 10, your abuser is going to be somebody who's close to you, maybe a person who you love, it's going to be complicated.
Right. And as well, there's a whole circle that people don't understand, whereas, I don't want people to look at a situation that I'm writing and think, oh, I used it as a cheap, easy way to make bad guy bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's Darth Vader never needed to abuse somebody in Star Wars for you to know he was evil.
Well, let me throw this at you.
Darth Vader didn't have to be racist for you to know he was evil.
Yeah, let me throw this. I think this goes back to what I was talking about with superhero tropes.
Yeah.
If you are going to represent sexual abuse, big heavy subject that we got into in minute 7 or whatever. If you're going to
Oh, listen. We're getting deep. We're getting deep.
If you're going to represent sexual abuse, you need to, this is horrible to say, but you need to make it your own.
Exactly.
In the same way. You need to be conscious of it.
Well, it's not even just sexual abuse, because I don't want to just limit it to that.
I'm just going to the extreme here.
Yeah, well, that is the main thing that I brought up as a personal example.
Yeah.
But what I was essentially getting to is at the heart of it, what I was asking is that, like, how far is too far? For example, is making a character a racist, not okay, because racism's not okay? You know what I'm saying? Is it okay? At what point is it, like, okay to make a bad guy do bad guy things? And you just hope that the audience understands, as a writer, you don't write it in, like, you're not trying to affirm his actions as a bad guy.
Yeah.
You're not condoning your villain that you've created's actions. You're saying that you're doing this because this is the obvious projection of evil.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that also comes down to, like, a divided view of art in general. Because, like I was saying, I don't attempt to write escapism. Yeah. What I intend to do is confront demons. My stories are designed, they're fun a lot of this, because I like fun,
Oh, yeah.
But they're fun and silly. But also, the idea is to put all the most troubling things you can in there and face them instead of burying them down there,
because that's how you become a stronger individual.
Yeah, exactly. I've come across this definitely because the book I've been working on for a bit that I hope to come out with this summer, Beach Night, surprisingly has some of the most horrifying villains I've ever written in my life. Just a whole new boundary.
Tumblr hears that and goes, ooh, horrifying villains.
And for me, I've decided, after viewing way too much internet discourse, like, who's got time for that? Oh, yeah. I just have to write what I think is right to write, and not care what anybody thinks.
Take a shot every time any variation of the word right gets said in this podcast.
Yeah.
You will be dead, and we will not be held accountable.
I wish we were doing the shots.
But I don't have the alcohol, or else I'd offer.
I should have brought some. But yeah, there are limits to that philosophy, though, because, like, for instance, if you're representing a minority group or anything that you haven't experienced in a way that a lot of people of that group have a problem with, then you need to listen to feedback.
Right.
But in general, you can't write with fear, is what I'm saying.
Like, there's a difference between writing your lived experience and then writing your projection of what you think somebody else's experience is.
And I think that's the problem with a lot of, they threw in sexual assault to, for drama. Like, right. I think a lot of the bad ones of those are because that piece hasn't been made its own by the creator.
I would say that there's...
Like Sword Art Online, things like that,
Yeah, perfect example is especially Sword Art Online. But, like, I would say that, like, half the time Law and Order writing, I hate to say this, but you can tell which episodes of Law and Order, as for you, were written by a man and which ones were written by a woman.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell that, like, there's a certain weight that most men, I don't want to overgeneralize here, but there's a certain...
No, all men! No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, I don't want to overgeneralize, me personally, but there's a certain weight, especially if they have never experienced, violent or any type of sexual abuse, that they will not understand, because men have this weird power complex about us where we're machismo or whatever.
Yeah.
And they don't really understand what it's like to have a power taken away from them.
Mm-hmm.
So when they write it, it's like, this is a sad thing that has happened. It's like, this is, hey, yeah. There's almost a sense of, like, suck it up, move on about it, right? It's like, boo-hoo.
That changes, and that shit changes your life.
And no, it's like, that shit stays with you forever. So it's the type of thing that, like, it will 100% change your worldview, change the way you see people, change the way you see entire groups of people, depending on, like, there's a lot of people who have prejudices that are based off of certain experiences. And I'm not saying those prejudices are correct in any way, shape, or form.
But they can be understandable.
You can understand.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, it is the job of the person with the prejudice to unlearn their prejudice.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because, I hate to say it, no matter what a person has been through, right? Because that's one of the things, for example, Vince McMahon, they theorize after they came out with his documentary and everything, there's a lot of people who think maybe when he was a young child, something happened with him and his mother.
That kind of thing does happen, though, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah.
And
cycles of abuse.
And it's like, as a person who has been through abuse myself, I can understand generally, okay, well, Vince McMahon's still a shitty fucking person, and even though he was gone through some horrible shit when he was younger, allegedly, it still doesn't justify the actions he willingly and knowingly chose to perpetuate and take.
Yeah, that's why I think when I'm writing villains, my approach to all of it, to the whole writing process, is to try my best to approach everything with empathy.
Yeah.
That sounds like a nice, like, you know, write on a gift card slogan, right?
Oh yeah.
But it's fucking scary when you're writing certain kinds of characters. Because if I'm writing a villain, again, this is not something I'm recommending to everyone, but my approach is to take my own self and think, what would drive me to this point, hypothetically? What could, not justifiably, but what could make me think this was an action to take?
And, you know, the reason that we're focusing so hard on villains right now in the conversation is because I feel like villains are a strong fundamental backbone about, like, you know, let's be real, Batman would not be as stoic and as symbolic of justice as he is if it wasn't for how criminally fucking insane and wrong the Joker is.
Yeah, people are drawn to villains.
Yeah. And half the time, the villains define the hero's morals more than the hero's mission statements ever did in the first right, by being such a perfect counterbalance to what they believe in.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So, for example, right, I make Booker so evil. I make him, you know, he's got prejudices. He's got some creepy corporate tendencies. He's a womanizer. He's not a nice guy to people of color and to people who are LGBT. And that's part of it, but that's the part of the reason why it's so good to put that in a villain is because at some point the heroes are gonna kick his ass.
Yeah, also that. It's cathartic.
And they're also gonna prove him wrong morally.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and logically. Right? They're not just gonna defeat him with their fists, they're also gonna defeat him with their sense of, like, we're right.
Yeah. I think also a good villain can serve as a cautionary tale. That's something I like to do. For instance, only mild spoilers for the Kingdom's Disdain, but one of my main villains in that series is Geraldo Lacturn. So he's he's basically this political figure who is in the court and he's scheming and he's secretly committing these, you know, ritualistic murders to try and, you know, destabilize the kingdom.
Which is horrific.
Yeah. You know, he talks with his girlfriend about how much he wants to, like, you know, display heads on pikes in the public square, and he's totally sadistic and stuff like that. But we get his origin story in The Tale of the Useless Prince, where basically this was a guy with nothing to hold on to in his life, finds a small oppressed town where minorities are oppressed, and basically forms a revolutionary group. Yeah. He's the hero at first, but he gets carried away, you know?
Well, that tends to happen a lot throughout history.
Yeah, exactly.
Revolutionary figures tend to come into power, and they're like, hey, we have the best intentions, but then once they realize, like, those things are hard to make come to fruition because there are certain...
It's easy to get lost.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, once you have the levers of power, you realize that it's not just as simple as flip the lever and it happens. It's you flip a lever, and then somebody else has to flip a lever, and then somebody else has to flip a lever, and then somebody else has to flip a lever, and then maybe if there's a float, it'll happen.
Yeah.
And there are certain wheels of systematic things in place that will drive people to go, these systems no matter how good of an intention they were, need to be torn down, and
Yeah.
those people are the ones that go mad with power.
Yeah, exactly.
Hence where we're at right
Hence where we are now. One of the things I think that defines modern America and the modern America conflict, is that everybody thinks that they're the underdog during the revolution.
Yeah.
Even the people in charge of the government somehow.
I am not joking with you that before, I think I made it even public jokes about this.
Mhm.
Or, they were jokes, but I'm not sure I was entirely kidding at that point in time. I'll be honest with you.
Mhm.
Where before January 6th, I had joked that, we should storm the Capitol.
Yeah.
Because, hey, they can't... because it was like...
Naruto run at the Capitol.
Exactly. I was making... Because it was not long after Area 51.
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like, we should do that with the Capitol. We should storm the Capitol. We should demand universal basic health care. We should demand that to have free universal health care for all, and universal child care, and women's right to choose forever, and gay marriage sanctified by the Constitution.
Right, yeah.
Right, we should storm the Capitol for this stuff. And then they did it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
No, that actually sucks.
Yeah, that actually sucks. And it was the wrong people who did. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, because I'm pretty sure if I had watched a violent group of liberals storm the Capitol and done the same thing, I would be like, hey, I agree with y'all, but
Okay, yeah, so it's so real. That's the thing, though. I mean, that's kind of what I'm trying to touch on, is the corrosive nature of violence itself.
Exactly.
Because even, I consider myself kind of a pacifist. I'm anti-violence. But, some of the atrocities that are going on in this world, if I saw somebody, strike back, fuck yeah.
Right.
That's what my heart says. That's what my gut says. It's way harder to be controlled.
It is, but it's a lot. It's so much harder to now that that's happened. For example,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is quite the right thing to say, but it's storming the Capitol isn't punk rock anymore. It's not a punk rock idea anymore.
No, absolutely not.
You know what I mean? Because it's it happened and it wasn't good, and now it's played out, and now storm the ballot box is punk rock again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's almost like all the things we thought that were punk rock got co-opted, and now punk rock is straight-laced and normie again almost. You know? It's
exactly.
loving your neighbor. It's I can't tell you how many bands I've listened to over the years that I've had to stop listening to. For example, Disturbed.
Yeah.
I loved Disturbed as a kid. I watched the lead singer, I forget his last name, but I think his first name's David something.
Mm-hmm.
But I watched the lead singer of Disturbed sign artillery shells.
Yeah, no, I know where this is going.
And it was for the Israel-Palestine conflict.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, man, I can't, regardless of how you feel, right? Because I'm not saying that anyone who is on the side of Israel's wrong or anyone who's on the side of Palestine's wrong. And I know that sounds centrist. Personally, I'm a free Palestine individual because I believe that that what is happening is a genocide. Personally,
yeah, it is a genocide. I look into the camera.
Yeah, it is. But I get people in my own family and friend circle who will debate that with me.
Right.
And I'm not necessarily saying that their perspective of reality is invalid. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But it's one thing to have an opinion, and it's one thing to support one side of a thing or another. It's a whole ass other thing to just be like, hey, this bomb that's gonna kill people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my name on it.
Yeah, because I want it to kill people. Yeah, exactly.
And then it's like I think he got surprised that there was backlash for it, and it's like, buddy, it's no different than if you had bombed them yourself.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, even politicians keep being shocked that everybody isn't unanimously pro-Israel. I mean, that was part of Kamala's downfall.
Yeah, it's and it's so funny how wild the culture is getting right now. Like, I never thought Nicki Minaj was gonna be wearing a red hat.
That's wild. Okay, I'm still not over that.
And it's like, but she has a sex offender husband, so like I don't give a shit either way what she thinks.
Yeah.
You know, it's when the real world is just as much as like a dark fantasy novel. Because let's be real, all we're missing is Trump having gotten superpowers from that orb he fucking touched.
Yeah.
And like, all he has to do is catch. Trump cast one fireball. We're living in like RuneScape.
I was actually thinking about this a couple days ago. I was like, maybe we have it backwards. Maybe we need the isekai adventurer. Yeah. Somebody comes from another world to free us from our overlords, you know?
Give me the devil as a part-timer.
Versus Trump.
Yeah. Oh my god. I'd pay to watch that.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Get Devil Artemis, the guy who animates Death Battle. Get that guy to do it for sure.
Like I'm just like Monkey D. Luffy would show up here and he'd be like battling ice. Like,
oh god, do you know how depressing it would probably be for somebody who comes from like a fantasy, magical, medieval world to come to our world where there's still politics and racism and all that heinous, awful religion fighting shit. But now they can't cast spells and swing their swords anymore.
Jeez, reverse power fantasy.
It's like, okay, well then I'll just... What's the weapon here? Guns?
New anime. I became a gun expert in another world.
I became a gunsmith in another world. Oh my god. That's gonna happen. That's inevitable, I feel like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll make a freaking gacha game out of it.
They absolutely will.
Yeah.
And I'll play it.
Yep. Guys, I got the triple S shotgun! But when are we getting a gacha of the Kingdom's Disdain? That's
listen, few months, you know. I would love that.
Oh man. So tell us more about the Kingdom's Disdain. How many books are there in the series currently?
So there are currently 11 main series books, 2 spin-off books, 3 spin-off books, and 2, I guess you would say, like, asymmetrical set in the same world books.
I see. And when you are making these books, you 100%, I know you've told me you try to make each one digestible, easy to read, and everything.
Yep, because I have a short attention span.
Right. For example, The False Prince. That's the title of the book.
Yeah, The Useless Prince, yeah.
Useless Prince. Why do I keep saying False Prince?
I think you said The Cursed Prince before.
Yeah, I keep getting your title wrong, and I swear to God, it's not for any other reason than just...
Listen, fantasy titles are like that. Somebody commented that everything is called, like, a something of something and something, you know, like these days.
It's the same with video game titles. People are like, oh, have you played, like, what was it? Have you played Night Rain yet? And I'm like, what is that? It's like, oh, it's Elden Ring 2. And I'm like, then why did they just call it Elden Ring 2? I would have played it if it was called that. You know?
Yeah, no, I get you.
You know, everything has to have, like, darkness or the fall in it or whatever. But, anyway, Tale of the Useless Prince. Alright. Because I did read it.
Okay.
I just forgot it because it's so digestible that I'm not lying to you. I have a short-term memory. Mm-hmm. It takes me a lot to like digest something. That's why I personally can't wait for the physical copies of the book.
Yeah, I get you.
I 100% will reread the same. Like I will flip pages back and forth because I'll think I digested something 5 pages ago. Then I'll get 5 pages forwards and go, okay, actually, what's happening?
No, I've been the same way. I've honestly been trying to work on my own reading comprehension. Yeah. So I get it.
And 100%, I think, you know, reading is something that, like, people lack skills in nowadays. And that's why 100% I relish the fact that you are still doing print writing.
Yeah, exactly.
I know a lot of people nowadays, it almost feels like the default for a lot of people who want to do writing is that they have to learn how to do art too because they have to do like a webtoon or a comic book or whatever. Like,
but I'm bad at art.
Well, even then, that is literature as well, don't get me wrong. Manga and comics and everything is still literature just as much as anything else is. But there is a different format to it. In a sense, I've tried to do comics for years. For example, Glitch Hunters was supposed to be a webcomic.
Right.
And I got away from that idea because I got to a point where I realized, for me personally, I hate dissecting every single part of the story and deciding where it goes in a square.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, panel. So I used to be really into the idea of making comics too, but panel placement and layout, big part of it. Exactly. Not passionate about that.
And I really was not good at making my word bubbles efficient and tight because I would write in the way that I was writing, like, the show.
Right.
Or writing a novel or something. Writing characters in a way that felt natural dialogue. But the thing of it is that when you actually sit down and you read comics, they don't talk in a way that feels natural feels like a human because they can't. Because there's actually a spatial limit to the things that they can say.
Yeah.
That's why there's so much more sentence breaking. That's why superheroes monologue so much.
Well, also think about the fact that as a creator, I almost feel like writing is not easiest isn't the right word, but it's easiest in a way for people with short attention spans because of the fact that when you're writing a comic, think of how many pages, think of how many images you need to create, how many choices you need to make for he walked in and punched the robot in the face.
Right.
Now, if you're writing a story, you can say he walked in and punched the robot in the face. It happened. Boom. There it is.
Exactly.
And you can slow down and you can detail those things if you want to, but that's a choice. That's a creative choice.
Exactly. And for me, I really appreciate still the written form. Like, for example, one of my favorite book series ever. It's written by the author. Most people probably know him for a series called The Uglies.
Okay.
Because I know they've made a movie about that.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not really familiar, but I know they made that.
The author's name is Scott Westerfield.
Okay.
And my favorite book series is actually right here. It's called The Leviathan Trilogy.
Okay.
And they even made an art book because the artist, Keith Thompson, did a lot of... Like, these are illustrated books.
Aren't those... I think they're coming out with an anime movie based on that?
I hope they do, because this is a series where... I'll have to show off art at some point in, like, clips or photos on another video, but this is my favorite book series because it's a historical fiction on World War I. So it's... The whole idea is the Allies and the Axis powers, I think that's what they were called in World War I, or I might be getting World War II confused.
I'm not enough of a history buff to correct you, so...
Well, hopefully somebody will in the comments, but it's more engagement that way.
Blow us up in the comments. Tell us we're dumbasses.
Yeah, but the whole idea is that it's the Darwinists versus the clankers.
Okay.
And I really love that idea because, especially now that people on social media and everything call robots...
Unironically using clankers, yeah.
Exactly, right? It was the idea of, like, animal genetic mutation versus, like, robots and stuff like that. So you would have people riding giant battle fire-breathing wildebeests and flying in giant hydrogen-breathing whales with bats that shit iron spikes onto their Zeppelin opponents, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Versus people that have, like, Tesla cannons and, like, triple crown steamwalkers and whatever. And that shit was cool. Especially when you have real historical figures like Nikolai Tesla, Pancho Villa, and, like, other historical figures having fictional heirs in this world. Like, for example, Archduke Franz Ferdinand has a son who survives him in this series.
Okay.
And he's one of the main characters.
That's cool.
And that's one of the things I love the most is that as a writer, to get back to my whole point, is people who, like, look at the world and who go, what if I take that piece of the real world and go this?
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah, like inferring. Like, something like Fahrenheit 451 where it's like,
yeah.
What if, there was, an English dystopian society where literature was burned because it was viewed as dangerous,
Would you say that's one of your favorite novels? Like, what are your favorite books that, like, defines you as a, like, person when you started your journey into reading?
Really early on, I did really like Bradbury, though I think I was a bigger fan of Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is this kind of, like, supernatural horror story about, like, an evil carnival.
I see.
And Dracula. Dracula was another good one.
Oh, I've got that right here too.
We have yet to have an adaptation that really matches the book.
I think I'm not joking when I say this. Unironically, that new movie that came out with Nicolas Cage.
Oh no, you mean what's it called?
Renfield.
Yeah.
Where Nicolas Cage is Dracula, and I forget who his name is playing Renfield, but like I saw that, and I'm like, this is the closest to the most accurate adaptation we've gotten of Dracula, and I'm not kidding.
Because the original Dracula is almost more of like an adventure story, akin to like the 2000s Mummy movies, than it is just like pure horror.
Exactly. It's like there are parts of Dracula that aren't supposed to be serious. They're supposed to be inherently funny. Like, for example, I was in a high school play version of Dracula, and it took some of our actors a while to recognize that there's an entire scene in the play, in the stage version of Bram Stoker's Dracula, where the ladies are literally talking about how it's their time of the month, and how they need to solve it with exercise. How everyone says exercise will fix it. And then Dracula's around the corner going, yeah, I'm thirsty now.
It's wild.
Yeah! It's like, that's funny shit!
I love that the whole first segment is just like this really socially awkward situation where Jonathan is having to live with this creepy old man who's like really friendly to him but kind of sketchy. And he's just like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
If I don't make it back alive, something's wrong.
I feel like we do Dracula with the dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun, where we really should be doing Dracula with the theme music in the trailer of like, this summer, dun, dun, dun,
Dracula
dun, dun, you know? Like, he's from Transylvania. Like, fucking Hotel Transylvania feels like an accurate portrayal of Dracula in comparison to, like...
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the classic movie with Bram Stoker's Dracula, Bela Lugosi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fucking legend.
Classic, yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but, like, at the same time... The Universal monsters have never really gotten their cadence right.
Yeah, they were going for what they were going for.
Yeah, I would love to have seen the Dark Universe idea that Universal had, but back when Brendan Fraser was doing the Mummy movies.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I was gonna say the Tom Cruise Mummy was.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. If you gave me Brendan Fraser's guy from The Mummy, I forget what his character's name was in The Mummy.
Rick O'Connell, I think.
Rick O'Connell. So if you give me Rick O'Connell and like a goofy version of Frankenstein and the Wolfman teaming up to fight Dracula, I would have watched that movie.
Yeah, no, that would have slapped.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest we've come is the movie Van Helsing. Very underrated.
Which Van Helsing? Because I think there's been a few.
Hugh Jackman.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you absolutely should. It's early 2000s. It is very early 2000s, but it's like gothic horror, action, like...
Right. Okay.
Really the vibe I feel like they should go for with a Dracula movie.
So, we've talked about a few tropes that we like, but like, how do you exactly take a trope and do it well without being predictable? Or is the predictability of using a trope kind of something that you inherently lean on?
So in honesty, my approach to that is to absolutely not think about it. So I will take. I'll take a.
Not thinking about it. How do you do? You shut your brain off? You can do that?
Oh, 90% of my writing process is shutting my brain off, actually. But
is it possible to learn this ability?
Yeah. You have to develop your intuition. Basically, you have to develop your intuition. You have to work really hard. It's my style, at the very least, is a lot less about conscious thought and a lot more about developing like spiritual muscle memory.
So what I'm hearing is staring at the blank page before you open up the dirty window.
No, but
the rest is still unwritten, is what I'm hearing.
To go back specifically to the question about tropes, because we kind of,
right.
Basically, so people get caught up on these ideas of predictability. For instance, Game of Thrones, the show, debatably kind of fucked up, jumped the shark, because they were trying so hard not to do what their fans would expect, right?
Exactly, and that was a common thing that, like, for example, as a child watching early wrestling, back in the day, wrestling storylines used to suck.
Yeah.
Because something would get out to the dirt sheets or to, like, the journalists and would report on, like, oh, this storyline's going to go this way in the next coming months. So then the writers would go, shit, we can't do that now. Yeah. And then they would swerve people.
Yeah.
And sometimes doing a twist for the sake of doing a twist,
it feels cheap. It doesn't feel lived in. It doesn't feel real.
No.
So, like, when I have a major plot point, right?
Mm-hmm.
I try to view that in a vacuum. I try to say, this is what's happening. This is what's going to happen. Okay, where would it realistically go from now? What would happen next? And I'm trying not to think about story conventions. I'm trying to just let the characters do their things, let the events play out, and you'd be surprised how often that results in a good moment of twist or surprise, because you're not engaging with the conversation about conversations, you're just telling a story,
Do you think it ever devalues a twist when somebody who is reading a novel or experiencing a show, do you think it devalues a twist when they can see it coming or predict it beforehand?
No,
or do you think that's more validating of the twist?
I think it can be a sign sometimes of a bad twist if the story leans too hard on it being a surprise. Mm-hmm. But I think that if readers can naturally predict what would occur, that means that there's an internal logic to your story.
Gotcha. So, people who do fan theories, for example, when a fan gets a theory right, that shouldn't make the writer necessarily feel negatively about the fact that, somebody else figured it out before I...
Yeah, no, it's super rad that people are overanalyzing this made-up stuff that I just put down,
Fair enough, yeah. But, see, the problem is, as well as I feel like there are people out there who do not enough of their own analysis when it comes to storylines, for example. Because I'll put it to you this way. I want to be a better writer than at least Scott Cawthon, the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's. Because I'm going to be real. We're now 2 movies in, and how many books and how many games, and I'm going to be honest with you. There is no Five Nights at Freddy's lore. I don't care what anyone has ever told me. I used to, in high school, theorize for days on who the purple guy was. Is it William Afton, or is it not?
Well, I mean, the mistake is, of course, that Scott Cawthon watched theory videos. He should not have been doing that.
Right, but it felt like at some point, he didn't even know what the answer to his own question was.
He wasn't engaging with his characters. He was engaging with Matt Pat.
Exactly. And, I feel like that's the same trap that Stranger Things Season 5 fell into as well, is that at some point it was... If Stranger Things had just ended after Season 1, or it had came to a natural endpoint around Season 3 or so, maybe we wouldn't be having this conversation. But Stranger Things, the problem with it was that every season felt the need to go, here's another question. Here's another question. Here's another question.
Well, I think...
And then Season 5 was like, yeah, we don't know either.
In my personal opinion, the biggest issue with Stranger Things as a whole, I don't know how we got here, but the biggest issue with Stranger Things as a whole is, again, that refusal to make the pieces your own. Because what they did is they created a collage of tropes, right? They created a collage of used 80s tropes. And then they continued making a story, putting tropes on top of tropes. And by the end, they didn't know what they were saying.
Yeah.
They weren't saying anything. Because in the beginning, all they knew to say was 80s movie reference. That's 80s movie reference is not a thesis, No. It's not a thought. It's not, the spirit isn't manifesting anything,
And Season 1 was a great piece of television because at some point it wrapped it up. You know what I mean? And the thing of it is that sometimes don't tell your audience you're going to answer questions if you have no intention to. Because I'll put it to you this way. There are some questions that audiences should never have the answers to.
Yeah, your world should be big enough that you're not telling them every detail of your world building.
Right. There should always be a sense of mystery. There should always be a sense of, like, for example, like, as much as having great character motivations is wonderful in writing, there are some times where it is okay, you know, even though we just said having a motivated twist is better or not, it's sometimes okay to have a character who does just on a whim change their mind because
people are unpredictable that way.
People do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is realistic in some senses to, you know, but what matters is essentially at the core of, like, you can't just pile tropes. You can't just pile characters. You can't just basically be a human AI and go, oh, I want to take this piece of this and this piece of this and then slap it all together and just expect it to work.
You're not possessing it. You're borrowing it.
Exactly. You have to literally get into the nitty-gritty of, like, how do these characters feel about each other? How do the characters feel about the world that they live in? Do they get sad? Are they depressed? What are their faults? What are their flaws? Right? There has to be weight to everything. And that's how we got to the Stranger Things thing, is that at some point I felt like there was no weight behind anything they was doing.
Yeah, exactly.
They had already shown too many contradictions, or
they were just playing with their dolls by the end, you know.
Exactly. And that's how it felt. Like, that's how Marvel's felt for a long time too.
Yeah.
Because they introduced the multiverse and they started going, here's this toy, here's that toy. Hulk has a son now.
Well, with the Marvel thing, you're too engaged with the meta for the stories to work. Because you're sitting there and you're watching a Marvel movie and you're not thinking about what's happening in that movie. What you're thinking about is, this is a company attempting to make money, and if it succeeds, it will go in a certain direction. We shouldn't be thinking about that as viewers, as people intaking the story. We shouldn't be thinking about the fucking company of Marvel. Like,
my biggest problem with Marvel is how at some point they decided... Was that the timer?
No, the timer is close, but
okay,
go on.
Cool. At some point, my biggest problem with Marvel is, and this is the one thing I'm trying to make Glitch Hunters, and I'm sure you're the same way with Kingdoms Disdain.
Yeah.
Continuity. Mm-hmm. At some point, they...
God, and that's hard.
Yeah, at some point they decided it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Right? You know? Because, for example, when Hela showed up in Thor, what did she do? She pushed over a fake Infinity Gauntlet in the vault because so many people were like, but you're doing Thanos, but Thanos has the gauntlet in the scene.
They just forgot, yeah.
Yeah, and they were like, oh shit, but we had an Infinity Gauntlet in the background. Okay, well, let's at least fix the continuity and explain that, and they were at least doing an effort to make things matter, right? Like, there was a whole show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
right,
where between movies and stuff, if there was continuity issues, they would try to explain that with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? There was an effort to try and make things make sense. Now, there's two Darkholds in the Marvel Universe?
I mean, to be fair, that's how comics are, too.
Right, and it's fine, but it's like, who's dead, who's alive, who... You know what I'm saying?
And does it matter?
Yeah. It's interesting because it's like, I have read so many comics throughout the years, but at least comic books have, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I buy an issue 1 of a comic, it might not be the start of that particular character's storyline, but it will be the start of that arc. And I can go until the next arc starts and have a complete story.
Right, that makes sense.
And if that story references things, will there be yellow boxes that go, hey, this thing happened in issue 205. Go buy issue 205 if you want to see it. Yeah, but that's how comics have always been, with marketing and whatever. But now it feels like, doesn't matter which Marvel movie you watch, you pick one of them, what's happening? Why is this happening? What does this matter to? And that's why I think Fantastic Four did so well, was because for once it was like, hey, here's a self-contained
fresh start,
piece,
yeah, exactly.
right? And it was self-contained.
Not an episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't have to sit there and go, "There's Bucky!"
Yeah.
"Oh my God, Bucky, thank you for cameoing in this movie."
Why does Bucky have his arm again? You
Yeah.
know, like, you don't have to pay attention to crap like that.
Didn't Rocket Raccoon get his arm in the holiday special?
Yeah.
Is that not canon now because James Gunn left? Like, what? And don't get me wrong, DC's not any better with it, too, because Peacemaker Season 1 had to retcon its entire ending.
I love how shamelessly they retconned it, though.
Yeah.
They just like, oh yeah, different superheroes, shut up.
And I love James Gunn's whole approach to, like, these characters aren't real. I can do what I want.
Yeah.
Yes, buddy, thank you. And I love Superman so much.
Superman was great.
Superman's one of my favorite movies now because of that. Because legitimately, he took real world influences, whether or not he likes to admit it.
Yeah.
He took real world influences and put them on characters.
Yeah,
right?
and said, you know, how's Superman interface with this, you know?
Exactly. And he made Superman not gritty, not toxically masculine, not... He's just a guy who's like, I'm trying to be a good guy, dang it.
He didn't chase market trends.
Exactly.
He just told a good story.
And for... It's so good because I was really hoping he would take a note from the Superman and Lois TV show, because people... Ever since that debuted on Adult Swim, people were like, I don't like this version of Superman. He feels gay. He feels too feminine.
Oh, you mean My Adventures with Superman?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that show.
Thank you. Yeah. Superman and Lois is that one that fucking Dean Cain's in, and we don't care about that one anymore. Fuck you, Dean Cain. Fuck you and Ice.
I barely know who you are, but yeah, fuck you, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, he literally was in an episode where Superman got interrupted by the fucking ICE immigration facility and asked him for his green card, and then turned around and joined ICE.
Jeez.
So that's what, a perfect example on how you can just write characters sometimes to completely change their mind and what they stand for. Because real people do it.
Real people do it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sometimes for this, sometimes just for your eyeballs. But, essentially, like, I just think, as a writer, you take everything by a grip. I love your daily writing prompts on Facebook. Like, the fact that every single day you come up with something that, even if it's just a shit post. Sometimes I like it when your writing advice is a shit post.
It's gotta be sometimes.
You know? But
they come from the heart, you know?
Yes, yeah. And do you have any writing advice off the top of your head for people who might be listening and struggling with some writing? Like,
I think if I were going to, you know, put it in, you know, one quick statement here, write. That's the first part.
yes.
You gotta write. You can't think about writing.
Yeah.
You can't hypothesize about writing. You can't plan ahead. You gotta write. And write whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Those are my two biggest pieces of advice.
Oh, yeah. It's, you know, there's that one... I'm sure it's still popular. That one relevant Tumblr post that was like, oh, so sad. I want to write about, you know, Captain Wolfie, who, like, is a submarine captain or whatever, you know? And people in the comments were literally saying, unironically, be passionate about your dumb ideas.
Just do it. Just do it.
Do it.
Literally just write the story.
Just write your stories.
Don't think about how it will be received. Don't think about whether it needs to be written now. Just turn off all of those unnecessary noises and do it.
50 Shades of Grey was Twilight fan fiction. Guys, you're allowed to write whatever the fuck you want.
You can write whatever you want, guys. You can literally write whatever you want forever.
Can we talk about the lore building of the world, by the way? Because I know it's played out at this point, but we would not have 50 Shades of Grey if it wasn't for Twilight, if it wasn't for Harry Potter, if it wasn't for 9/11. And
My Immortal's probably in there somewhere, you know.
It's like...
That is our alarm.
That is our time. Well...
Can I suggest a short segment?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and start wrapping up.
Only if you're okay with it.
Go ahead and
you
suggest
can
it.
delete it otherwise. Could I, in the nature of plugging, just very quickly list a very brief one-sentence summary for all 11 of the books?
Do it. We're not cutting this at all.
Okay,
no,
okay,
do
cool.
that.
Okay, so, The Kingdoms of Disdain, Book 1, Web of Bones. A young man wakes up naked in a cave and meets a scary doctor.
Okay. Yep.
Who's an elf? The Kingdom's Disdain, Book 2, 10,000 Teeth.
Already not a fan. Go ahead.
10,000 Teeth. The Wizard Cardinal and the scary doctor that he met have to fight a giant leopard with like 10,000 teeth and like 6 eyes.
Hence the title.
Yeah.
Why not just call it 6 eyes? Why did you have to pick the teeth?
I actually picked the title before I came up with what was going to be in the book. I just thought it sounded really cool.
Working backwards. All right,
yeah.
Continue.
Book 3, House of Flies.
Take out your trash, buddy.
House of Flies. Something bad and rotten is afoot in the castle, and there's horrifying giant grasshoppers. Book 4, Blood Drain.
I wonder if somebody gets their blood drained.
Yeah, the scariest leeches you've ever met. Cardinal gets drunk for the first time. Book 5, The Distance.
They travel a very short amount, I'm sure.
They actually do. They actually stay in one town. But Book 5, The Distance. Anime training arc. Cardinal learns about magic while Princess Sarish learns about sword fighting from Scary Wizard Doctor.
Ooh.
Book 6, Corpse Beetle.
Don't say it 3 times.
Everybody teams up and fights a really dangerous lizard mercenary.
You know, listen.
There's an army of skeletons also.
Listen. You had me a lizard mercenary.
Yeah, there's a lizard mercenary.
Yeah.
Book 7, Sick Butterfly. The characters join a guild and do Monster Hunter, and there is flesh-eating clams. Book 8, The Spokes of Decay. There's sketchy stuff going on in the guild, and an alcoholic, middle-aged orc woman has a bunch of flashbacks to her childhood hunting dragons.
Well, what a wonderful childhood.
It is not. Book 9, The Nature of the Beast. All the shit hits the fan. There is a horrible abomination that kills like 70% of the side characters.
Okay. Don't get too attached, I guess.
And Book 10, The Hounds of Ruin. Everybody has romantic drama. Everyone gets really depressed. And there are dogs that can regenerate asexually like sea cucumbers.
Oh, okay. So the dogs can just like osmosis themselves.
Yeah, they're like bacteria dogs.
And I assume the dogs are evil.
Well, the dogs are they're dangerous. You know, I guess beasts aren't really good or evil, but
fair enough.
They are very dangerous.
So what I'm hearing is that everyone dies and then wants to get together and then
if you want more details, you gotta read the books. Okay, they're each $1 on Amazon.
Worth it.
Yeah,
honestly.
exactly.
I've bought a few myself already.
Yep.
So like 100%. If you don't listen, it's $1.
Mm-hmm.
Buy one book. Buy either the starting of the series or, for example, the one that you.
Yeah, The Tale of the Useless Prince was his the spinoff.
I was gonna say it this time. I knew I had it in my head.
I believe you. I believe in you. Yeah.
But yeah, The Useless Prince is a great start. It's the one that I read. It's a fantastic first read. But at the beginning is a great start too. The first book in the series is
Web of Bones,
Bones.
Actually, my final plug is that I'm doing a second edition of Web of Bones that will include bonus content, and I hope to release that for free within like the next month.
Hell yeah! So hey, that about wraps up our time for the day. This has been the Shawn Will Be Here podcast. Paul Lane. We've got a lot off the top of our plate today.
Yep.
We talked about how to make a convincing villain, how you make tropes your own, how you write a world crazier than the one that we're in now, which is a feat in itself.
How we need Kirito to materialize and defeat Donald Trump.
Yep. Or Kites from Hack.
Okay, yeah, that would be good too.
Yep. Need him to data drain Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Release the Epstein files.
I'd even release the Epstein files. I'd even take Gnu.
Yep. He just like data drains the Epstein files. But it's been fantastic to have you on. It's been lovely to talk about pop culture with your writing, all things.
Really good to be here.
Nerdiness, right? I'm looking forward to at some point in the future maybe playing D&D with you. We talked about it.
Sounds fun.
Maybe not for the channel, more of a for us thing, but maybe we might do a game for a channel in the future. Who knows?
Could be.
Who knows? It all depends on the views, y'all. So keep watching. And Paul, is there any social media you would like people to follow? Is there anything other than Amazon? Of course, you can follow his books on. But anything else that you'd like to plug?
You can follow me on Paul Lang blog. I think it's called paullang.blogspot. You can put that address up if I got it wrong, if you don't mind.
Worst case scenario, I will edit it and it will be in the description.
Yep, paullang.blog. I post poems, short stories, writing tips, writing updates, and of course updates whenever I'm having a new release. And I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Paul Lang, for being here. 100% check out the Kingdom's Disdain. And hey, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please keep coming back here for Shawn Will Comedy, because I won't keep doing this if nobody watches it, damn it. That's a lie. I'll keep doing it because I have no life. All right.
Undefeatable spirit.
Shawn's been here, Paul Lang's been here, and we hope that you will be here next time. Bye.
Yesterday still is not tomorrow, still is not today. No way, it just can't be. Worrying, all that worrying is reason for confusion, is reason for the stay. That's pain which I can't see. At times, sometimes I like to take it slow, living here in this world. At times, sometimes I wish I didn't know, and I'm trying to get used again. Everything is merely